Good evening, everybody. It's a real honor to be here tonight with all of you and be a part of this amazing and esteemed group of Walrus Talkers. Actually, I usually hang out with real walruses up in the Arctic, and Shelley was saying something about them being fearless and witty and funny. The walrus I know are kind of stinky. They burp and they fart and they're a bit grumpy. So this is a really nice change tonight, and you guys smell a lot better, I'll tell you that. H2O. I love talking about water. I love being on water. I love drinking water. I love everything about water. So, and I love this planet. We call it planet Earth, but 71% of it's covered by oceans and rivers and lakes. It should be planet water. And that misnomer, to some degree, I think also reflects some of the points that have been raised tonight, how we've taken water for granted for so long, and we still do, particularly here in Canada, where we're so blessed with freshwater resources. Water shapes us, as Donna said so well at the beginning tonight. Here in Newfoundland, the connection that you have to water runs so deep and shapes this place, this very building that we're in tonight. For me, water has played a big part in my life and career, from growing up along the Wilmot Creek in southern Ontario to somewhat accidentally exploring and water skiing on every ocean on planet Earth. The water skiing thing seemed like a good idea at the time, but not sure what the point was. I live on the Gatineau River in Ottawa, outside of Ottawa. I served as a national ambassador for a campaign to try to get people to stop drinking bottled water and drink free tap water. And today I chair the Ottawa Riverkeeper, a small but impactful NGO that advocates and educates about protecting the watershed, which I did a quick Google search today, and the watershed's actually bigger than the island of Newfoundland. At least that's what Google said. But rather than focus on conservation and H2O tonight, I really want to talk about water as the world's greatest classroom. Over the last 17 years, I've taken over 3,000 students from 55 countries on educational expeditions to the ends of the earth, to the polar regions, the Arctic and the Antarctic. It's a program, a charitable foundation called Students on Ice. It's truly a life-altering experience for all the students and for everyone that is involved. This summer I had 120 students from 13 countries up in the Arctic, together with a team of 80 educators and staff and experts, people like Silawat Kluche, all experts from all backgrounds, leaders. We had Seamus O'Regan with us a few years ago in the Antarctic. Our Prime Minister Trudeau was with us a few years ago. And this summer, I was really pleased that of the 120 kids, 50 were Inuit and First Nations. Those students go on to become real ambassadors and leaders and stewards, and it takes them in all kinds of incredible directions. We should have called Students on Ice Students on Water, because we're on a ship, it's a floating classroom, and even when we're on ice, ice is water too. But we called it Students on Ice. It's too late to rebrand now. I want to say a quick but sincere thank you to Newfoundland and Labrador. Without question, you are by far our greatest provincial partner in Canada. And over the years, over more than a decade, from the provincial government to Memorial University, the Marine Institute, corporations, small, big, individuals have helped support dozens of Newfoundland and Labrador youth to come with us. And some of them are here in this room. I see Donovan Taplin sitting in the front row. This guy, he's got some big things. He's already done some big things, but many big things on his horizon. We're so proud of you, Donovan. As a classroom, a platform for learning about everything from science, history, culture, flora, fauna, sustainability, conservation, sovereignty, you name it, I think nothing comes close to the power of water to educate. But the most powerful role of water as a classroom that I've seen is its ability to connect us to nature. It humbles, it inspires us, and there's just something about being on or near water that touches your soul and touches you in the heart. I want to share 3 quick stories tonight from students on ice expeditions over the years. Funnily enough, every one of them involves whales. It wasn't intended, but about 2006, we were up near Pond Inlet. That's getting rescued by the Coast Guard out of Iqaluit. Sheila was there for that. These guys are really friendly and cuddly till they try to eat you. But we were on the floe edge where the frozen Arctic Ocean meets the open Arctic Ocean. And it was time to go. The students were all procrastinating. And then one of the students said, "Let's have a group hug." I'm like, "All right, group hug." And we're in this group hug. And then suddenly one of the students says, "There's a whale." And right next to the edge of the floe edge, a bowhead whale surfaced like a submarine. And it just stayed there. And we walked up to the edge of the ice and just listen to this huge whale breathing, and you could have heard a pin drop. And then the whale took this deep breath that resonated in your bones, like, whoom, and it arched its back and dove under the ice under our feet and disappeared. And one of the students said, "That whale came to deliver a message, to take what we've learned and go home and make a difference." And sure enough, they did. 2 years later, thanks to petitions to the federal government and a lot more, Isabella Bay was designated a national wildlife area in Canada, thanks to many, many organizations working on that for years, but these students helped put it over the edge. The second story goes to the bottom of the world, to the Antarctic. We were following orca through ice, and then the orca started hunting seals that were on ice floes. But the way they did it was by creating waves. And these waves would travel across the surface, hit the ice floe, flipping, knocking the seals into the water, and then the seals would be caught by the orca. Lunchtime. We watched them catch about 3 seals. They made about 20 waves. And then what happened was truly extraordinary. All 3 seals jumped back out of the water totally unharmed. It turned out the orca were teaching their young how to hunt, but letting the seals go. Sustainable fishing by orca. If they can do it, why the hell can't we? And lastly, story is this day, just this summer. And you might recognize that guy standing up in the Zodiac playing guitar, Tim Baker. And Tim was with us this summer, and thank you for lending him to us. He was a gift. And we were out in the Zodiacs near Ilulissat, which is where all these big icebergs you're seeing come past Newfoundland are born. And it was flat, calm, sun was setting, and then we come across 2 humpback whales sleeping on the surface. So we just turned the engines off, we drifted in the Zodiacs. Tim pulled out his guitar, started playing, and then our doctor, Andrew from Labrador, pulls out his cello, and we had a concert with humpback whales. Now, in these moments and so many others, transformation happens. I've seen it in youth and adults. This summer, we had 100 years of human history on our ship, from my daughter, who's 5, to the amazing Dr. Fred Roots, who's 95. And when that transformation happens, commitment happens, dreams are born, careers are spawned, and we see that happen all the time using water, oceans, rivers as classes. I want to wrap up by saying, to share some watery plans with you for 2017. We're going to be leading something called Canada C3, Coast to Coast to Coast. It's going to be a 150-day journey to sail from Toronto to Victoria through the Northwest Passage, essentially covering every inch of Canada's coastline, the largest coastline in the world, connecting our 3 oceans, and a little bit of everything in between. It's really going to be a journey of reconciliation for Canada, but also of celebration. And each of the 15 legs will have a cross-section of Canadian society, young and old, on board to share their stories and their perspectives and their dreams and visions of the future of this amazing country. We're going to come to St. John's, so I'd love to see you guys all down there at the harbor around July the 10th. Stay tuned. And we'll be continuing up the coast and up the coast of Labrador. And many of the partners, including the rooms, we're going to have a C3 hub here where you can physically come and follow the journey. It's one of the 13 hubs across the country. The Royal Canadian Navy is involved, Memorial University and the Marine Institute, and of course the Walrus magazine, yeah, woo, and many more. So please, I'd love you to share that journey and help us celebrate the 150 years of Confederation in Canada. Thank you very much.